continuation of fake news and police helicopter cover-ups for November 5th. So I left off on the part where the event at 3:19 at 2:57 was similar to a recent event that I haven't found the date for yet, where he did the same movement and moved out, and that was the time when they had the plane do certain things out there. So the helicopter moved in the same exact area, left in the same exact way, but that's where the Cessna was last time, and the helicopter was throwing sound for it last time, and that's why I mixed it up, and then I corrected myself in the moment. So it's not like I got it wrong, like how they start putting a bunch of balloons all over the place, because I mixed up a balloon, the light reflecting off of it, with a helicopter hovering a mile up once, and then I corrected myself immediately afterward. So that incident is going to be used to create falsified evidence to mix up the Cessna and the helicopter. At 3:19 p.m., the police helicopter was mobbing circles behind the two-story house across the street, and then it did a left circle curve, so a larger circle, and that encompasses then the October 30th spot. And once you do that, if you just do a bit of a large circle, then that accounts for all the small circle events that happened within that large circle. So he did a left circle curve that was headed towards 24191, and then he ascended and came straight towards me. And so he was flying straight up from Geronimo towards my house, and he did a tail wave and ascension over the small grade across the street, and then he came over the two-story house and over the October 16th line, the house, except slightly closer to my house, so maybe 2 houses down, just like the two-story house is. And he did a tail wave all the way across, so now that's a tail wave, but it's in the opposite direction, crossing over my street. And then he also hit the two-story house, which is the fake Amber Alert spot. He also hit the October 16th spot and came from the October 30th spot. So if you fly in a straight line through all of the events, then you can account for 50 feet of altitude, low threatening circles for an hour, as long as you just fly by it once. And so then he went out into the park and then acted like he had just mounted a huge summit, and then descended a little bit into the park, and then he went on a left tilt and did a tail wave and a straight line dart with pulses, and he sped up a lot, but he was on a left tilt the whole time. At 5:29 p.m., a Cessna was doing circles on the October 16th spot for almost 20 minutes, but I had really low battery, and I couldn't find him at first because he was really low. And then at 5:31, shortly after I had found the Cessna, the police helicopter showed up, and he was behind the two-story house across the street, and he was throwing sound, but he didn't show up visually, but he was throwing sound for the Cessna because they're creating falsified evidence for the October 16th event. And then at 5:42 p.m., there were 4 Cessnas all around the October 16th spot, and they were doing circles, and they had different light configurations and cadences. At 6:26, the police helicopter was flying down the park away from Montevideo Elementary School towards Geronimo Road, and it had a red-orange light. And then I jumped off the truck and stood in the street, and the light then changed from red-orange to a white flasher with a small red next to it. And they don't mix like that. When they actually do the red-orange, it's a different way. It's not like a red and white light were near each other. The filament's different. It's completely different. And so then, as I watched it, I ran down to the end of Solero Oliveira intersection, and I don't know, I'm not sure if he was aware that I had ran down at first, because he was flying really slowly out over Geronimo Montilla, and he had just switched the lights to all to white, and then they had I noticed that they had them doing a similar flash as all the Cessnas, where it was flash, 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 white, 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 and so I counted it, and then he went out beyond Geronimo Montilla. At 6:53, the police helicopter flew left to right up to Deseo Falda, and this is the part I'm talking about, the cut up Deseo route again, the curvature of it closest to Geronimo. And then he got to Deseo Falda intersection, and he made a right U-turn, and then he mobbed really fast back. So the U-turn is significant. There are a lot of U-turn events. I'm not sure if it's for the UN cover-up or for the return or for chasing me. So there's a lot of events that it can be matched to. And then so he mobbed back down to the Copter pocket, and he did power circles behind the two-story house. And then he did mobbing circles, and then he changed altitude, and at that point, then I got on the roof, and what he was doing is he was changing the lights again. And I watched this, and then I was thinking about it because there was an event at 10, and it's not like he just changed the lights, or if it's on one side, it's different on one side than on the other. They actively changed the lights, and that example of him flying down the park at 6:26 clearly shows that it's not just from the side, which they were trying to sell in the first place. The first time I noticed him really changing the lights like that, he did U-turns out at Geronimo Montilla so that I would see each side opposite and be like, look, it's just the opposite sides, and that's not the truth. They adjust them. And so I got on the roof, and he was doing gradual circles at Geronimo Alicia intersection, and he was doing altitude changes and changing the lights. And then as I got on the roof and started watching him, then he started to move the circles away a little bit. And then eventually he left, and he went out towards, over Alicia Park, out towards 24 Hour Fitness on Los Alisos.